It's like opening up Pandora's box in a way. Hi, beautiful human beings. I just wanted to hop in here quickly because I do actually have a pretty intense migraine. Still, this project and you guys are very important to me. So what I was thinking to share about particularly today was something that was very much in front of me in my life personally yesterday. I won't go into any of the details of it because honestly, they won't be helpful to you, most likely. So the gist of it is essentially just that I have reached a point in my life where there's no turning back. I have already closed the door behind me and there's no reopening that door. It's been locked from the other side. And to some extent, logically in my mind, as I've been on the spiritual path, I understood that this was happening. And yet, interestingly, lived experience happened, and experiencing myself with my family again, let's just say it triggered, for lack of any other word, a unique experience in me, and also a realization of this fact that I am now this embodied person and that there is no walking back into the old shoes. And I wanted to share about it because of the fact that it was honestly very uncomfortable. And I feel as though perhaps this is a moment that everybody does eventually reach, where you're kind of like, oh, so that's who I am. And I'm trying to put this delicately because it's not like you're here, you have to do anything. You sort of realize that you have this potential that you were here given, that you can, this path that you can choose to walk, something which in my particular case, I've sort of talked myself out of since about the age of 8. And so now to then accept that identity, to understand that not only am I the person that I sort of convinced my younger 8-year-old self out of believing in ever existed, that likely those keys that are held in that, for lack of a better word, ancient part of myself that is untapped, unexplored, and yet very much now finitely here. It's really interesting. Those new discoveries, me actually allowing myself to explore who even actually am I without any of the input from the external world, is really quite wild. And again, the reason I wanted to share this here with you was I realized in that moment, sitting rather not glamorously, I might add, because as I said, I became triggered actually in this moment. And in realizing that I actually really literally cannot physically, emotionally, or mentally walk back into the shoes I once did, and thus realized that I can no longer fill this role, which is crazy to say out loud. And it was sad for me. I had a lot of emotions over this, and just sort of very visceral processing of, okay, this is real. The time has arrived whereby we now live our mission. We don't, it's hard to explain. And perhaps if you've awakened, you will understand this. It's like opening up Pandora's box in a way. You have all the potential that exists. And it's kind of like, oh my gosh, are you telling me I have the whole world and its magic to play with and experiment with? Like, that's a lot of choices and options. And that's the kicker of it all. And the point that I really wanted to make is we have the power of choice. That's willpower, is what we choose to do with our energy. I invite you also to observe your life from an external perspective, if you can, to see yourself and your environment, your family, and all those things almost from the outside looking in at your life, and see what you can observe and witness. Because what I discovered was that and this is sort of what made me cry so much, was that for the majority of my life, I've lived in this don't be seen, don't be present, don't speak up, don't say how you feel mode of operating. And the me that you see before you can no longer do that. Quite literally, in my bone, there are certain things that it just won't fly anymore. For example, with me, with other people. What I mean by that is, if someone were to try to lie to me, I know immediately that they're lying. There are some things that just, you can't get it past me. And I appreciate that about myself, about whatever, the fact that I have the ability for a huge BS-ometer. What I wanted to share is to perhaps take a look at what role you might be playing in your life, in the sense that, is that actually something you want to be playing? Because what I'd invite you in this is that, listen, it took me 40 years to arrive at this place where I'm finally now, I'm getting to understand rewiring. I'm actually putting in the reps, the practice of rewiring my brain and my whole entire system to understand that we're safe and all these other things that come when you awaken. And it's a really unique position to hold when you are that completely awake. You can no longer go back to sort of your head down robotic mode. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that I held that perspective for nearly 40 years. And it took me until the other day to realize that it doesn't actually serve me. And I might as well be myself. Because if people are going to think that I'm crazy anyway, and that applies to you or whoever, wouldn't you rather be yourself and make their day interesting than just not express? Because I can tell you, as someone who has lived in a box, in the sense of I never spoke up, I didn't do all these things before, it's so much more freeing and so much healthier and so much better for your body, your mind, and your soul to just live coherently to who you are. Just be your authentic self. And again, I know, so much easier said than done. And yet I invite you, because I had this very much shaking experience of a reminder that yes, this is your old self and you no longer fit in that mold, and you are now evolving and growing, as we all always are. So remember that the state you're in now is not the be all end all for better and for worse, and that's the fluctuations of life. So if you've been with me for this whole waffle, thanks for tuning in. I hope you have a beautiful and a blessed rest of your day or night whenever you're seeing this. If this video has been of any help to you, please do share it with anyone that you think it might also serve. Subscribe, as that really helps me as a content creator to get my messages out there to those folks that need to hear them. And last but not least, if you, my beautiful spirit soul, need any support or coaching, please don't hesitate to reach out at this email address, where it will be my pleasure to serve you in whatever way I can. Have a beautiful and a blessed rest of your day or night, and I will see you, gorgeous cats, in the next video. Namaste, and much love. Bye-bye. Stay healthy. What do I say at the end of this? I hope you've had a beautiful and a blessed rest of your day, or so I like, oh, so that's who I am. Oh my gosh, are you telling me I have the whole world and its magic to play with and experiment with? Like, that's a lot of choices and options. And it's a really unique position to hold when you are that completely awake. Is what we choose to do with our energy.